As the Rav of the Rebbe to learn the Hilchos Beis Abchira in the days from Bein HaMetzorim. We have the honor today to have a Choshev in German from the Choshev Mechanchim, a Manael Chinuch in Cheder, a Rav Achosid, a Rav Shmuel, a Kohen וויספיש, will give us some insight into Hilchos Beis Abchira. A Rav וויספיש, בבקשה.
The Rambam says, Perek Daled.
Before, everybody should also give tzedakah b'tzibur as the Rav of the Rebbe.
The Rambam says, Perek Daled, Halacha Gimel, and the Rambam calculates the height of the Heichal. The Rambam says that it was Mea Amma, 100 Ammas, and the Rambam calculates how we get to Mea Amma. How much is there? 2 floors and all the whole Heichas. And there was Aliyah B'nui Al Gabav. Each one was 40 hours. And the Rambam finishes off and says that the Geva Hamakya Shalosh Amis, the top of the Heichal there was a gate, a fence around 3 amas tall. The Tashel Barzel, Kmisayev, Govi Amal, Govi Hamakya Saviv, and on top of that there was some type of metal on top that was it was very sharp. That was that the birds shouldn't Yenuchal of Eifis, and it's called Kala Erev. Together it's Mea Amma. So it's brought down in Sifri that when it says Kisivna Bayis Chadosh, Bayis the Rabbis Heichal, that every house needs to have a gate around the roof, including the Heichal. And it wasn't just Lanoi, it wasn't just other Mefarshim want to learn on the Sifri that it was just for beauty. But the Rambam Paskins and it was the mitzvah's market. So the question is that, and the Gemara says, it's a Gemara in Chulin that says, "V'sisa market legagecha" on your roof. It says the Gemara gagecha lemiyutei bati knesiyas bati midrashos. That a shul, a beis medrash, a beis knesset, a beis medrash does not have a chiyuv of having a gate around the roof. So the question is simple: why the Beis Hamikdash does need to have a marker around, as we saw in the Rambam? So the Rogatchover answers and says that interesting answer, and he says that when is the marker, the chalais of the marker is b'shas chedusha when you build the house, and the halacha is that the Beis Hamikdash is built beinin b'chayil b'chakach makdishin. When you build it b'chayil. So b'shas you're building the Beis Hamikdash, it's not sanctified yet. It's not made holy yet. And therefore there's no kedusha. And therefore you're chayiv in the makkah. And only later do you mekadosh the Beis Hamikdash and make it holy. The Rebbe asks that Tzaddik Gadol on this answer, the Rogatchover, and says, first of all, the reason that a shul is not mechuyev in a gate around the roof is because it's not gagecha, has no bailim. And therefore the Beis Hamikdash, the same thing applies to the Beis Hamikdash. And we see that if someone takes a regular house that had a gate around it, and then decides to convert it into a shul, the chiyuv of the makkah goes off when it becomes a shul. It doesn't need to have a makkah anymore. Let's say the makkah falls down and it breaks or whatever. You don't need to rebuild the makkah. You don't need to rebuild the gate. So it's schwer to sagen that because it was built b'chayil, it shouldn't need a makkah once it becomes holy. And so the Rebbe explains that Rashi says, and that Gemara and Chulin, that why doesn't the Beis Knesset, Beis Hamikdash need a makkah? Why didn't they go into the get of gagecha? She'ein chelik v'achel mehen b'ei she'af lebnei ever hayamhu. Nobody can claim Balabatish Gaitel on a shul. It belongs to everybody. It has no ownership. I'm going to ask what's the difference between this and a house that belongs to partners, a shutzvin. So Rashi says that the word is that no one takes responsibility. In the shul, no one takes responsibility. When you have a house that belongs to two shutzvin, so everybody has a part in it, and so therefore it's the same thing as a bayis shel yachid. Mashenkin in a shul, everyone says it's not mine, and therefore nobody takes responsibility, and therefore there's no there's no chiyuv. So and in Taka we find certain dinim. It's not again now, but there's certain dinim that the shul does belong to the Bnei Yair and so forth, because there the reason is because there's the gufa Beis HaKnesses, but there's the making the Beis HaKnesses into a makom lodur, to make it a place to live. It's not a place to live. If it's not a place to live, so then there's no chiyuv of gagacha, because of makkah, because makkah is only when it's shaykh to a place to live. It's tola bedira. It's tola bedira. The Rosh Hashanah brings also it's tola bedira. So why, when it comes to the Beis HaMikdash, do we need to have a makkah? But the Beis HaMikdash firstly belonged to everybody. Everyone had a shutfus in the Beis HaMikdash. David HaMelech, when he bought the place, the Makom HaMikdash from Rav Yevusi, so he gave her the money, he claimed money from all the Yidden, from all the Shvatim. And the Chalal, the Beis HaMikdash is built from Nidvus HaTzibur, just like, it's Mistaber that ever says that just like by the Mishkan, everybody gave their donations, by the Beis HaMikdash also, everybody gave donations. And therefore, everybody, or by the Kabbayis, everybody has a shaykhus to the Beis HaMikdash. It belongs to everybody. So even though when he gives it over to the Beis HaMikdash, it's Masram, the Tzibur, Yafa, and it's not his anymore, but nevertheless, he still has a chelik in it, like we find by Keirach, that Moshe Rabbeinu said you shouldn't accept their part, and so forth. So Mela Beis HaMikdash has a shutvus by all Yidden. And therefore, everybody has a chiyuv, because it belongs to everybody, there's a chiyuv in the Makkah and the Beis HaMikdash. Because it's not mamish, it's not, in other words, it's still a little bit gagecha. The question is, if we say that the Beis HaMikdash, if we say that the chiyuv of a Makkah is when it has to be a Beis Dira, and that's like the reason why a shul is pater, so then we're back to square one. Beis HaMikdash is not a Beis Dira, it's not a place to live. Heichel is not a Beis Dira. So the answer is that what is the main inyan of the dira is the inyan of achila, like we find by Sukkah, Teshuvah came to Duru, and Ikka Mitzvah Yeshiva B'Sukkah is achila b'Sukkah. And the Beis HaMikdash is made, it's a place where it's kavua la'achilas kachim, even though it's only nazara. But the Rambam brings in Hilchos Ma'aseh Karbanos that if you eat you're allowed to eat in the heichal also, and b'shas tzchak. Could be that not only it's mutter to eat in the heichal, but there's a chiyuv to eat in the heichal. I don't know the source that brings it here. That it could be that in certain situations there's even going to be a chiyuv to eat in the heichal. Are you going to say in shul there's also b'shas chag you can eat in the shul? There's a mutter talmud chacham lechem b'beis HaKnesses, but that's only by an aray. Mashenkin over here it's a mitzvah. The Beis HaMikdash it's a mitzvah, and therefore there is an inyan of eating, which is the inyan of teduru and the inyan of living in the Beis HaMikdash. That is the beer in the simple beer in Alpi Nigla. The Rebbe adds on that the Pnimis and Yanim, the inyan of why do you make a gate around the roof? It says Ki yipel hanifel mimenu, that if someone has midas hagaiva, which is the shadish of all nefilas of all falling, so therefore you have to put a mica, you have to guard yourself and save yourself. And so that you might think that only applies to a bayis shel chayil. You're dealing with the Beis HaMikdash, it's kula kedesh, the yigbal the b'darkei Hashem, and it says Talmud Chacham tzarli be'echad mishmeinu b'shminis. So maybe why do you need such a zirus in the Beis HaMikdash? So it won't be a makkah. Maybe after shouldn't have a makkah. The Beis HaMikdash shouldn't have a makkah. So the hira is that even even when somebody reaches the level of the Kiddush HaKadoshim, the Heichal and the Kiddush HaKadoshim, the whole building had a makkah, not just even on the Kiddush, but the whole Kiddush HaKadoshim, everything had a makkah on the whole thing. Even when someone reaches the highest level, he still has to have the inyan of bittul. And just like it says, Kelim and Gemara Matar Tzrichim Tvila the Kiddush, you might have a keli that it's the highest level. When you want to go use it for a Kiddush, it needs to have Tvila, has to have his bittul. And the Micah is not only for himself, because maybe he might affect somebody else. Now maybe through his actions, so whole harichas over here in Avedis Hashem that ever goes into the Inyan, that it could be that someone could do something and that might affect somebody else, give a nefil, that he'll become a nefil through what you said, the way you acted to him, what you did to him, and so forth. And this is the chiluk between a shul and the Beis HaMikdash. The Indian of a shul is a very ruchnis. Tut mit zich, and he's busy. He's a risk at all in the world. He's not involved in the worldly matters. So maybe there he doesn't need to have a ma'aker. Mashenki, when it comes to the Beis HaMikdash, the whole thing of the Beis HaMikdash is kavanas and to be the gashmias and so forth, and affect the world, to mashpia on the world, like the windows of the Beis HaMikdash were shkufim atumim, that it was to affect the world. In such a situation, he has to be very, very careful that when he goes out in the world to affect somebody, he has to be very careful that there should be a makeh, there should be a gate, and he should be guarded, and not do anything that might affect somebody in a negative way. And therefore, that's the later that even in the Beis HaMikdash, and as a writer, there has to be dafka, the inyan of a makeh. And as with this, will be bezecha that we should have the similar bias chodesh, that we should fulfill the dira betachtenim, and through this bezecha the binyan beis mikdash shlishim mehelu v'meinu.
Wisfish, Mr. Sam following philosophy, there will be